Led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a bitch. Ellen is a nasty person. And all these staffers started to come out, not for nothing, but I know a guy, I know him very well, whose sister worked for her, who said, you were not allowed to make eye contact with Ellen in the halls of that show. If you saw her, this is not a nice person.
Ellen's rough.
Ellen is like an old...
But it's a rough one now.
It's a rough one now because she was running Abu Ghraib in the back of her show. That's a rough one. She's out there dancing with Kristen Bell, and in the back, there's people that are getting up on the rack.
You never would have thought Ellen DeGeneres, the smiling, dancing, compassionate icon, would destroyed in a tag team truth fest by Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly that turns daytime turmoil into a bedtime tale. She is collecting fireballs of searing honesty one moment while throwing clues the next. Roger provided the flamethrower of unedited questioning, Megyn brought insider information, and Ellen, let's just say that the only thing dancing right now is her reputation. What did they reveal that has, you won't believe this? Hollywood is trembling as they hold their chat programs.
Question for you on this. This is perfect for you. Because I'm seeing this week that there is an attempted comeback by somebody who did not cross one of those fateful lines of the misstepping on their sacred cows of gender or race or sexuality.
Yeah.
But she was said to be a nasty biatch, and that's Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
So her show got canceled after she had this testy exchange with Dakota Johnson, where something happened where Dakota said, oh, I had this birthday party. And Ellen said, well, why didn't you invite me? You didn't invite me. And she said, like, no, I did invite you, Ellen. That's not what happened. And Ellen had blown her off. And then tried to play the victim on the set with her. Anyway, it led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a bitch. Ellen is a nasty person.
Have they made progress with the strike?
They're picketing right now, so I think it's the early stages. I would think it might take a little bit with this one.
When someone crosses the writer strike, that's some dirty shit. They cross the picket line.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody doing that yet.
I think Ellen did. I had a buddy of mine who was writing on Ellen. Everybody kind of knows now what she's really all about. And that's another one of those. Like, I'm so nice and I'm so sweet. Being behind the
Recall the era when Ellen DeGeneres was the undeniable queen of daytime television and the feel-good guru who never stopped dancing and smiling. She managed to persuade millions that compassion was her superpower. Yes, Megyn Kelly and Joe Rogan completely destroyed that image of Ellen. And let me tell you, the true tale behind that sunny facade is far darker than a soggy Monday morning.
Situation. Yeah. You know, people found out that Ellen was mean, and all these people came out and said, Ellen's actually a bitch. And everybody, whoa, I can't believe it. And she lost everything. She fell apart, disappeared, because people found out that this character that she was portraying in a half an hour on a television show is not really who she was. My buddy Greg, who was one of her writers, was like, she's a piece of shit. And he was like, she's a...
Recall the phrase, be kind. Ellen pushed it down our throats as if it were the formula for mugs of world peace. There are shirts and banners everywhere. It resembled the generosity you couldn't escape Kool-Aid. You'd believe she was a saint who worked all day making sweaters for orphans and giving puppies away. However, beneath that flawless smile was allegedly a workplace where fear and favoritism reigned like royalty, colder than the North Poles. Forgotten freezer aisle.
Not a nice person. So she eventually got canceled, but now she's coming back. She's got a Netflix special. That's the right response.
Megyn Kelly. The journalistic ninjas revealed a poisonous culture so vile that it becomes reality. Even though Ellen danced and laughed on camera and the TV looked like a kumbaya bonfire, behind the scenes, staff. Members were apparently acting more like they were trying out for The Walking Dead Office Edition. Be Kind pledged.
You know, but I hadn't already known that because I had a buddy who worked for her. Like, and he was like, she's a monster.
Yeah. I didn't really had a lot of awareness. You probably did just from being in the business.
I only did because of my buddy.
Yeah.
My buddy Greg, who was one of her writers, was like, she's a piece.
I didn't know enough to be surprised.
Additionally, Joe Rogan wasn't amenable to the spin. The podcast king used a knife to... It's almost amazing to watch Ellen's skillfully constructed image cut through the PR nonsense to reveal a tale of power plays, emotional gaslighting, and a well-oiled machine that turned disaster after disaster into daytime TV gold. It's like watching a magician who is so terrible at magic that you can see the strings supporting the entire performance.
The capper on the promo, and apparently there's now articles out about from people who have seen the preview. she plays the victim. And she says, poor me. And she actually has the nerve to say that she was run out of Hollywood. This person
with $100 million in her pocket.
450 million, according to Forbes. That's a low S.
Here's the real twist. Ellen's show racked up awards and glowing praise as the wholesome, feel-good darling of daytime TV. But behind the scenes, it was reportedly a masterclass in dysfunction. Imagine winning Best Family Film while a horror movie director screams at the crew between takes. That trophy shelf? All dazzle, no depth. When Megyn Kelly pulled back the curtain, she uncovered a laundry list of complaints buried faster than a bad punchline at a comedy roast. Staff reportedly worked in fear, terrified that one wrong move would make them the next casualty of Ellen's alleged temper. Because apparently, be kind only counts when the cameras are rolling. Even celebrity guests weren't immune to the chill. Some wondered if the perky persona was just a mask for a tyrant in designer sneakers. America's sweetheart by day, boss from hell by teleprompter. The once shiny brand started looking like a bad Disney villain cosplay, syrupy on. The surface sinister underneath. And the irony? Ellen built an empire preaching kindness and compassion, while allegedly steamrolling the very people who made it all happen. It's like a vegan sneaking into the walk-in fridge to pound steak. The hypocrisy, thick enough to slice with a butter knife.
Stephen Paddock.
Who's that?
He was the guy that shot up the Vegas concert. That was a very tragic thing. Listen to this. The only guy that saw Stephen Paddock alive, his name is Jesus Campos. He was a guard at Mandalay Bay. He got interviewed nowhere else. You know where he got interviewed in the beginning? Ellen.
Really?
Weird. And then they went on, if you could find that clip, they went on with a weird diagram of how it happened, and Ellen's showing the people how it happened. Not like an emotional, how are you feeling, how are you holding up? It was a weird diagram of and then he went to the left and to the right. It was very strange to, look, what the hell's going on? This is a daytime show.
Which is the Paddock guy? There's two guys there?
The chubbier guy is the Jesus guy. And now Ellen is doing a thing of how the shooting happened.
Look how she's got an antenna from someone's Buick that she's popped up.
Joe Rogan didn't hold back. He called it straight savage. Here was a woman who built an empire on warm fuzzies and dancing monologues, allegedly running her show like the villain on a reality TV meltdown special. The same Ellen who invited celebrities to bare their souls on air, all while her own crew reportedly endured a behind-the-scenes horror show. If hypocrisy had a mascot, Ellen might have just nailed the audition. When the scandal broke, her PR team went into overdrive, scrambling, like they were up for gold in Olympic-level damage control. We're investigating. We take this seriously. We're committed to change. Translation: please forget this happened. But no amount of corporate gloss could cover the cracks, and Ellen's own silence spoke volumes. Most celebs, when hit with a scandal this messy, race to Instagram with a Notes app apology or a PR-crafted redemption arc. Ellen? She disappeared faster than her "be kind" catchphrase post-expose. If silence is golden, hers was a treasure. Chest. Megyn Kelly wasn't dragging Ellen for clicks. She dropped a full-blown expose. What emerged was a workplace allegedly built on smoke and mirrors, where kindness was a costume, smiles were scripted, and the staff were just props in. A twisted, feel-good facade masquerading as daytime television.
Saying, I was run out of Hollywood. She's actually reportedly complaining about how hard it is for women in America with the double standards.
Look at Oprah, how hard it is for her.
Oh, she's got, 10 houses, Ellen DeGeneres?
Michelle Obama, look how hard it is for women in America. They're hurting.
They're going to let her back in, Rob, because she's a lesbian, she's a leftist, and she didn't hit one of their sacred cows. Nastiness, that's their bread and butter.
And then there were the fans, the true believers who bought into Ellen's message, bought the mugs, the sweatshirts, the whole kindness aesthetic, only to be left holding a "be kind" cup, like the punchline of a sad joke. A bitter reminder that behind all the sequins and jazz hands was a story soaked in hypocrisy. So next time you catch Ellen shimmying across your screen with that signature grin, remember, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbow lights behind the scenes. It was a highly choreographed performance veiling what some called a toxic work culture, something Megyn Kelly and Joe Rogan had no problem shining a spotlight on. Because when your brand is built on kindness, but your empire runs like a dictatorship, your downfall isn't just predictable, it's theatrical. Ellen was supposed to be the personification of daytime joy. Wholesome, quirky, lovable. But that image, turns out it had more cracks than a dollar store mirror. While America danced along to DJ Twitch and Ellen's stiff little shoulder pops, her staff was allegedly locked in their own private Hunger Games. No cameras, no applause, just stress and survival. And no, there were no gift cards for making it to Friday. It's almost poetic in a dark way. Ellen handed out cars and dream vacations on air like Oprah's little sister, while rumors swirled that she couldn't be bothered to greet her crew unless you were A-list, rich, or at least had a verified blue check. Imagine grinding through 16-hour days only to be told not to make eye contact with your boss, lest your mere existence disrupt her energy. Orwell couldn't have written a better green room nightmare.
An antenna from someone's Buick that she's popped off and she's using it as a pointer.
But why the hell is this happening on like a daytime show where this is weird?
Where'd she get that pointer?
I don't know. She stole it off an intern's car.
Why wouldn't you just use your finger? Like if that was you, if it was your show, the Tim Dillon show, wouldn't you just point?
Yeah.
This is also a giant screen behind her, so they could have just put it on that screen.
So, but she's using this thing. I find it very strange. I don't know why.
Wait a minute, those aren't real pop.
Joe Rogan didn't miss the irony. In a world where he debates aliens and sweaty MMA tactics, even he couldn't process how the queen of hugs and dance breaks allegedly ran her show like a pastel-tinted dictatorship. It's like finding out the Care Bears were running a pyramid scheme. Backstage, things reportedly weren't all sunshine and giveaways. Anonymous sources came forward like survivors of a cult, spilling stories of racism, intimidation, and relentless micromanagement. Basically, the recipe for a toxic stew bubbling just beneath that smiley face logo. And yet, the show kept pumping out syrupy, random acts of kindness like it was emotional Febreze. Tossing checks at struggling single moms doesn't exactly cancel out the sound of morale collapsing in the editing bay. Then came Megyn Kelly, never one to mince words, diving headfirst into Ellen's carefully curated illusion. She didn't just question the narrative, she torched it. With the finesse of a verbal flamethrower, Kelly laid bare the contradiction at the heart of it all. Her takedown exposed the absurdity of Ellen's PR gymnastics, a masterclass in denial, pretending everything was fine while the walls of her feel-good fortress crumbled like a knockoff IKEA shelf in a mild earthquake.
I don't hold any grievance and resentment. It's very important. And I would just say for Ellen, the resentment, you have to know, you have to get over resentment to whatever addiction or addictive qualities happen. To get over it, you have to deal with resentment and address it. And then otherwise you're going to fall back into the same pattern. And I think also to admit your mistakes.
Of all people on earth to be feeling sorry for herself, Ellen DeGeneres should not be on the list.
She should at least, but make a real apology and do it.
There's no apology.
And the media? For a while, they walked on eggshells. Questioning Ellen, America's giggling oracle of virtue, was practically taboo in 2018. Criticizing the Be Kind lady felt like committing a moral felony. But once the dam broke, the stories came rushing in like everyone had been holding their breath, terrified to be the first to say what they were all thinking. Maybe she's not that kind after all. And when even celebrities, those PR-polished pros who can usually weather any storm, started quietly distancing themselves from Ellen, the shift was undeniable. Suddenly, all those whispers about her being cold, difficult, or strangely aloof didn't sound like petty gossip. They read like flashing warning signs from a horror movie everyone ignored, until it was too late. The most laughable part? The excuses. Hollywood wheeled out its go-to apology toolkit like it was confession night. I wasn't aware. I'm devastated. That's not the environment I meant to create. Every passive, deflective statement carefully avoiding the core issue. How do you build an empire on kindness and allegedly run it like a glitter-covered dictatorship? Joe Rogan, of course, called it out instantly. To him, Ellen was essentially hoarding the market on feel-good vibes while allegedly passing out emotional trauma like party favors. You don't get to slap a rainbow sticker on a toxic workplace and call it wellness. That's not branding. It's delusion.
I agree with you. And forgiveness is great. I'm Catholic. It's just the double standard on it is very galling. Here's a clip, by the way. This is the promo for her Netflix special, and here's a clip.
Decided to take up gardening. I got chickens. Let me see what else I can tell you about that. It's been going on. Oh yeah, I got kicked out of show business. The Be Kind girl wasn't kind. That was the
Then came the interviews, the leaks, the not-so-veiled comments from ex-staffers who'd finally had enough. The once shiny Ellen Show legacy began to unravel, not with a bang, but with the slow, awkward collapse of a magic trick gone wrong. Except this time, the rabbit was dead, the hat was empty, and the magician forgot the script. Turns out no one wants a warm hug from a host who reportedly treated the boom mic guy worse than she did her morning latte. Meanwhile, Megyn Kelly came armed with receipts. She dissected Ellen's carefully curated empire like it was a true crime. Documentary, highlighting the branding contradictions, the deafening silence when the scandal broke, and the all-too-convenient pivot to "I'm just the talent" when accountability came knocking. That wide-eyed "oh no, I had no idea" act, Kelly shut it down faster than festival Wi-Fi on a Saturday night. And then there was the farewell season. Ellen tried to wrap the whole mess in a sparkly bow, thanking her staff and fans while rebranding the scandal as a touching tale of personal growth and misunderstandings. It was a masterclass in rewriting history, PR spin at its finest, like trying to rebrand the Titanic as a luxury cruise with surprise aquatic features. Joe Rogan wasn't buying it. He reminded everyone that character isn't measured by how many TVs you give away on air, but by how you treat the people who make your spotlight possible. If your entire brand runs on performative generosity, but behind the scenes you can't even treat your crew with basic respect, that's not just hypocrisy. That's Broadway-level gaslighting dressed up as daytime charm.
I was like, Ellen's not that nice.
This was after you went on the show?
After I went on the show.
What was it like meeting Ellen? And is she a good person?
Let's just all go back to 2017, where I was the first person to call Ellen out before anyone else.
You called her out?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I called her out. I was like, Ellen's not that nice.
This was after you went on the show?
After I went on the show, and the world blew up about it and was like so mad at me about it. And then someone else said it, and then it was like, oh my God, Ellen's not nice. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Why do you say she's not nice?
I can't explain it. It was just really
energy?
weird. I ran into her like backstage. It was like an awkward thing, and like the producers were really scared. I was like, what's going on? They were like, that was not supposed to happen. We're gonna get in trouble. It's like so weird. She was like, hey. It was like, I was like, oh, hi. Like, I was like, I'm so excited. She was like,
Ellen's empire didn't crash. It crumbled in slow motion, like a Jenga tower made of ego, catchphrases, and Instagrammable self-help slogans. And the most poetic twist, her iconic mantra, "Be kind," morphed into a punchline, a meme, a cautionary tale. The kind of feel-good quote you scroll past on Pinterest and wonder if the person who wrote it once screamed at an unpaid intern. Megyn Kelly and Joe Rogan didn't unearth some hidden scandal. They just yanked back the curtain and let the audience see the chaos in full view. The gears grinding behind the scenes, the illusion shattering. Once people realized the so-called Wizard of Kindness was allegedly just a stressed-out control freak screaming into a headset, the spell broke. No more slow-mo hugs, no more moral superiority disguised as quirky dance moves, no more dodging criticism with a cardigan and a smile. The show's gone, the lights are off, the stage is cold, and the audience, long moved on, probably still clutching their dusty Be Kind mugs, now sitting beside a pile of shattered illusions and canceled merch subscriptions. And honestly, it would be funny if it weren't so bleak. Ellen sold the world a vision of kindness wrapped in commercial sparkle, but in the end, it was just another marketing strategy wearing soft pastels. The only difference, she put a bow on it and called it a lifestyle, and people bought it, literally. But here's the thing. In a world where authenticity is everything and every influencer is one tweet away from digital exile, Ellen's downfall is a warning. Don't sell kindness if you can't deliver it, because eventually, someone's going to lift the lid, and if what's inside smells like ego and broken NDAs, game over. Kelly and Rogan didn't just roast Ellen, they reminded the world that the emperor of daytime TV wasn't wearing clothes, just a smile, and allegedly not. Even that once the cameras stopped rolling.